At 8 a.m., the city is a symphony of ambition. The air smells like coffee and exhaust fumes, the soundtrack of another day beginning. For 20-year-old Elijah Vance, every note of this symphony was a step forward. A junior in computer science, he wasn't just surviving college, he was thriving. Dressed in a crisp white shirt, perfectly tailored grey slacks, and polished leather shoes, he felt like he was wearing his future. In his hand, a minimalist messenger bag held his work laptop. He was on his way to his paid summer internship at Pinnacle Technologies, one of the top tech firms downtown. This uniform, this routine, it was his badge of honor. It was proof of late nights fueled by caffeine and code, of scholarships won against the odds, and of a future he was building with his own two hands. He stood at the bus stop, checking the time on his phone. The 8:15 was just around the corner. He'd be at his desk by 8:30, ready for the morning meeting. He was crushing this internship, and he knew it. Just as the familiar rumble of the bus reached him, a different sound cut through the morning noise. A marked patrol car slid to a silent stop at the curb, blocking the lane. Two officers stepped out, their expressions unreadable, their posture radiating an authority that felt heavier than the morning air. The older officer, Reynolds, walked straight toward Elijah, completely ignoring the other three people waiting for the bus. It was as if a spotlight had singled him out. "Hold up, son. Where are you headed?" The question was sharp, not a conversation starter, but an accusation. Elijah, slightly confused, put his phone away. "Good morning, officer. I'm just waiting for the bus. I have to be at Pinnacle Technologies by 8:30. He tried to keep his tone respectful, professional, the same one he used with his supervisors at work. But as the second officer, Garcia, moved to his side, flanking him, a cold knot of anxiety began to form in his stomach. He was being cornered. Officer Reynolds' eyes roamed over him, lingering on his silver watch, then on his laptop bag. "Pinnacle Technologies," Reynolds repeated slowly, as if the words tasted foreign. "Funny you should say that. We've had reports of some high-end thefts in this area, specifically targeting young professionals carrying tech bags." He paused, letting the implication hang in the air. "And frankly, you fit the description we were given of a known person of interest in a local crew." The words hit Elijah like a physical blow. His expensive clothes, his professional gear, they weren't signs of his hard-earned success. In their eyes, they were props, suspicious accessories on a suspect. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. He was an executive intern one moment, a person of interest the next. His mind reeled. The description? What description? A young black man with nice things. That was the only description that fit. His voice, when he finally found it, trembled slightly. "Sir, I'm just a student. I bought this watch with my summer savings. I'm not involved in any crime." He was pleading, but he didn't know what for. For them to see him, the real him. Reynolds wasn't interested. "Then you won't mind proving that?" he snapped, his voice hard. "Let's see the bag." and I need ID right now. Unless you want to come down to the precinct and explain why you resisting a lawful search. Resisting. He hadn't done anything. A lawful search. On what grounds? Elijah knew his rights. He'd read them, studied them. He knew he could ask for a reason for their reasonable suspicion, but he also knew the reality of the situation. He saw the cold dismissal in their eyes. He saw the other people at the bus stop starting to stare. Asserting his rights here now felt like stepping off a cliff. The lump in his throat grew hot and painful. This wasn't about a stolen laptop. This was about him. About the color of his skin combined with the clothes on his back. It was about an assumption that someone who looked like him could impossibly belong in the world he was so proudly building for himself. The shame was immediate and suffocating. With a deep, shaky breath, Elijah made a decision. He would comply. Get it over with, prove them wrong, and get on with his day. He reached into his back pocket for his wallet. In that split second, the world exploded into chaos and pain. Officer Reynolds moved with startling speed. He grabbed Elijah's right arm, twisted it violently behind his back, and slammed his body against the glass of the bus shelter. The sharp edge of the officer's badge dug into his cheek, and a searing pain shot through his shoulder. "Keep your hands where I can see them," Reynolds yelled. The command was a roar, loud enough to make the bystanders gasp and stumble back. Elijah's laptop bag fell to the ground with a sickening thud. His meticulously organized notes scattered across the wet sidewalk. "You're not frisking me. I'm just getting my ID," Elijah grunted, the agony in his shoulder making it hard to breathe. He could feel the cold, rough texture of the shelter's metal frame against his face. "We determine what you're doing," Reynolds growled, his voice a low threat right in Elijah's ear. "Now, give me your wallet." While Reynolds held him pinned, Officer Garcia, who now looked visibly nervous, fumbled in Elijah's pocket and pulled out the wallet. He quickly flipped it open. His fingers riffled past the cash, past the credit cards, until he found it. The student ID from the university, and right behind it, the key card with the Pinnacle Technologies logo. "It checks out, Dave," Garcia muttered, glancing at the small crowd that had gathered. "He's got the badge." The pressure on Elijah's back eased. Reynolds let go, but he didn't step away. He stood oppressively close, taking the wallet from Garcia. He stared at Elijah's student ID photo, his eyes narrowed, as if searching for a hidden truth, a felony that the plastic card failed to reveal. Finally, with a flick of his wrist, he dropped the wallet onto the damp concrete. "Get your stuff," Reynolds said dismissively. There was no apology, no explanation, not even a flicker of regret. Just a final, parting look that felt like a sentence. A look that said, "We know what you really are. We'll see you again." The patrol car pulled away from the curb and disappeared into traffic. And just like that, it was over. But it wasn't. The bus he was supposed to catch rumbled past. Its passengers staring out the windows, their faces a mixture of curiosity and pity. Elijah stood there, trembling, not from the cold, but from a profound, deep-seated shock. His shoulder throbbed, his cheek stung, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the humiliation. He looked down at his scattered notes, the ink already starting to bleed from the moisture on the sidewalk. But his laptop, his lifeline to his future, was lying on the ground. He knelt to pick up the pieces, his movements slow, robotic. The other people at the bus stop, the ones who had witnessed it all, pointedly avoided his gaze. They shuffled their feet, they checked their phones, they looked anywhere but at him. In their silence, he felt another kind of judgment. He was no longer Elijah Vance, the promising intern. He was a spectacle, a problem. He wasn't arrested, he wasn't charged, he was free to go. But he didn't feel free. He felt profoundly detained. His dignity had been stopped, searched, and seized. His confidence, so carefully constructed over years of hard work, had been shattered in a matter of minutes. That morning, he had dressed himself in the armor of professionalism, ready to conquer the world. Now, all he felt was the stain of the accusation, a mark far more painful and lasting than the bruise forming on his arm. He was left alone on the sidewalk, not just to pick up his belongings, but to try and piece back together a sense of self that had been publicly torn apart by a system that saw his success not as something to be celebrated, but as a reason for suspicion. His day wasn't just interrupted, it was irrevocably broken. And as he finally gathered his things, the weight in his bag felt heavier than ever before. It wasn't just a laptop anymore. It was the burden of a world that had just told him, in no uncertain terms, that he didn't belong. Thank you for watching. If you or someone you know is struggling with the emotional aftermath of a difficult experience, please remember that help is available. Reaching out to a mental health professional or a support group can provide a safe space to process and heal. You are not alone. Please subscribe for more stories like this.